And welcome back. We're talking this week about how Israel is fulfilling its biblical destiny as a light unto the nations. Well, I can't think of an organization that better symbolizes that than Leket Israel. Now, you may remember the story of gleaning in the book of Ruth. Well, today, Leket Israel is kind of involved in a modern-day gleaning. They are Israel's largest food bank, and they're distributing leftover food that would normally be thrown in the wastebasket to the poor throughout the land of Israel. This is an amazing organization, folks, and we spent time with them recently at their headquarters in Ra'anana. Take a look.
Leket is based on ancient precepts in the Bible. There were a couple of commandments known as Leket, Shikha, Upeah. All three commandments which told us exactly how farmers, the businessmen of ancient times, needed to treat the poor. So if you remember, for example, the law that said if something falls off the back of your wagon, the farmer couldn't take it, he needed to leave it for the poor. Or the law that said you needed to leave a portion of your fields for the poor to collect. And what I've always loved about that law specifically is that it said the land needs to be accessible and close to those who were poor. It couldn't be in the middle of nowhere. So in ancient times, people weren't getting around on cars or in Ubers, and they had to have it close by so that they could pick in those fields and feed themselves. We at Leket have taken this and made it into a modern adaptation. And that is, in today's world, we live in a totally different manner than those did in ancient times. We actually live in abundance, like it promises in the Bible, Eretz Zavat Chalav Udvash, the land of milk and honey. And we're living that today in the modern state of Israel. We have loads and loads of abundant foods, beautiful fruits and vegetables, beautiful food in hotels, in restaurants. And yet at the same time, sadly, we also have those in need. And so what Leket has done in a, I think, clever manner, like many other organizations throughout the world, we find logistical solutions to getting that food from those who have it and are not going to utilize it and bring it to organizations who are feeding the poor. We are therefore able to help Holocaust survivors, children in need, battered women, all types of the saddest stories, unfortunately, even here in the Holy Land. So Leket's work is based on the biblical commandment in Leviticus 19, where it says, "Nor shall you glean your fields. Rather, you shall leave it for the poor and the stranger in your midst." That is what the Lord has commanded us. And that's what Leket bases everything it does on that. I moved here in September 2000, and for those who remember their history, very difficult time in Israel. We just started the new Intifada, and at the same time, with that Intifada came a lot of suffering for the Israeli people. I was living here with my family, my wife, one child, now wife and 5 children, and we noticed a lot of people coming to our door asking for help. Now I knew, as all of us know who are fortunate to live in the West, that we waste food with abandon. So I started to travel around the country, meeting soup kitchens, meeting homeless shelters, meeting after-school clubs for kids, and asking them, what was it that they didn't have? What was it that they were struggling with? And to a T, almost all of them said to me, "We are not getting donations of food." And I said to myself, wait, I lived in America. There were so many food banks, so many organizations working with farmers, working with food producers, working with caterers to make sure that food was collected and fed to the poor. How could it be that in Israel, which has so many wonderful nonprofit organizations, that this little piece could be missing? But that's what it was. And so I jumped in and I started to call caterers, and I started to pick up leftover food from weddings and then the army. And then today you see, what's behind you today, this very large organization feeding nearly 200,000 Israelis on a weekly basis.
Coming up, more on how Israel's National Food Bank is a light unto the nations, plus what you can do to help fulfill this biblical mandate. That's next, right here on The Watchman.